Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to What's Up With That, the show that brings you interesting people, places, cultures, and subcultures here in the South Bay, the San Francisco Bay Area, the state of California, and beyond. And tonight in a special edition, What's Up With the Gwen Araujo story. Who is Gwen Araujo? And what happened that day when Gwen Araujo met her fate, a terribly brutal murder fate, at a party in Newark, California? Well, I'd like to think that we live in a tolerant world, but apparently there's a lot to learn. Tonight we have the privilege, and I mean privilege, to have the mother of Gwen here in the studio with us to talk about Gwen, her life, what she's meant to people, and what she means to people now as a martyr for all people who are transgender and dealing with gender identity issues. And I'm so glad you can make it.
Thank you for having me.
And I know it's a difficult time, and you've been in a trial, and it's the second trial,
one, yes.
Second time around. Well, tell me a little bit. Let's talk about Gwen. What was Gwen like as a little child?
Gwen was very, very loving, very sensitive, happy, a smart little kid. She was like the most perfect kid you could have. I mean, she really, truly was. I mean, I'm not just saying that. She'd sleep all night as a baby. That's a parent's dream, to have a baby that sleeps all night, because normally they wake you up. And she was a really good baby. Out of all my 4 children, she was definitely the best.
Do you have any special memories of her that really stick out?
There's so many. The beach, building sand castles. My children and I spent a lot of time at the beach. We lived in San Diego for 10 years, so
Right.
when she was younger, obviously before she transitioned to Gwen. There's so many memories. The zoo. I mean, she did what normal, typical kids do.
And then when was it that you first began to realize that she was having a gender identity?
Well, obviously, I didn't know that that's what it was. I knew that Gwen was different from a very young age. I mean, it was the behavior. I mean, it was so there I couldn't ignore it.
Right.
I think if you're a good parent, you're in tune with that and you see it. I have an older child, Pearl, who was very much like the tomboy when they were younger, and Gwen was very much. It was like my kids were switched.
Okay.
Gwen played with Pearl's Barbies and dressed up in her dresses, and Pearl played with Gwen's Tonka trucks and the Hot Wheels and wanted to do the boy thing. So I didn't really think much about it at that time.
Right.
I just thought, some kids go through that. No big deal. But it continued and it continued, and her being so feminine and very sensitive, just like a little girl. I mean, so it was from a very young age. But I mean, obviously, I didn't talk to her about it. I didn't.
Right.
How do you're not going to talk to your child about that?
And there's so many terms for these,
as
you've learned,
yes,
right?
Because I'd never even heard the word transgender until Gwen was murdered. I've learned a lot. I still have a lot more to learn. But to me, my children are my children.
Right.
I don't put labels on them, and I mean, even now.
And the unfortunate problem is that society is just one label after another, and
I know.
And it beats them down.
In a perfect world, and if I was running the world, no one would have labels.
Right.
Or ethnic backgrounds or whatnot.
I mean, in the perfect world.
We're human.
Right. We are.
All of us.
And so, how did Gwen come about to tell you what was going on?
Well, I know that I have, I hope I have a very special bond with all of my kids. And open communication, which I started at a very young age, I listen. I don't judge.
Right.
And I'm honest. And in turn, they're honest, and they trust you, and they come to you until you have communication.
Right.
So she felt comfortable at 14.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew that conversation was going to come eventually. But to be honest with you, I never expected it at 14. I thought it would come later in high school or whatnot. Because, she was just becoming a teenager and hormones, and there was a lot of changes going on. So, and I, to be honest with you, wasn't sure.
Yeah.
I thought Gwen
Just
was
could
gay.
be.
No, I thought she was gay. But I never said that. I mean, she never ever heard that from me. Because, like I said, she's my baby. She's still my baby. No matter whether she was Eddie or Gwen, she's my baby.
Yeah.
I love both of them.
Right.
And she felt comfortable at 14, and and she came out, and it wasn't an easy transition. I'm not
no.
going to lie to you and say, oh, I welcomed it with open arms and we had a big party. No,
No.
not at all. As a matter of fact, I told her, society's going to be hard. And it's going to be hard on you.
And apparently it was quite
Oh,
difficult.
my gosh.
I was reading some stuff when I was preparing for this about some of the things that, she went through high school.
Everyday life was struggles and hate and ignorance, and my poor kid, she went through a lot.
And what would
But
you
I admire that strength and courage, just to wake
Yeah.
up every day and to be Gwen. Took tremendous strength and courage. Think
Oh, I
about
mean,
it.
can you, yeah.
I can't imagine.
I can't even imagine.
I can't.
But
But I raised my kids to be that way, to be proud of who you are and to love yourself and accept yourself, and not be ashamed of yourself. No one should be ashamed of them.
Right.
Everyone's different. We are all different. And my goodness, have I learned truly how diverse this world is.
And how lucky Gwen was to have a mother
I'm
like
not
you,
I'm not a
because
perfect mom, but I love my children. That's something that I can say.
I mean,
honestly and
Sylvia should be
openly.
the model, because there's so many kids. If you look at the
I
statistics,
love children. That's why.
The statistics of transgender, whatever, and they say more.
That breaks my heart.
Yeah.
I cannot believe.
They get abandoned.
There's so
they
many
get
of them,
they
and
get
I'm like the adopted mom because they email me and whatnot. We stay in contact with a lot of those transgendered persons,
Right.
that, young and old, that didn't have that acceptance from their parents. And that breaks my heart. How can you throw a child out like they're garbage just because they're different? It's not their fault. And especially in Gwen's case, that wasn't a choice. It occurred in the womb, and it's not genetic. And like I said, I've learned so much, and I don't really want to define transgender, because as I've learned, there's so many different
Exactly.
definitions, and I want it, I'm going to define it. I want it to be accurate, but I can't speak as for my daughter Gwen. That occurred in my womb, and it's not genetic, and it's nothing I ate or I did. Or,
Yeah.
I'm serious. You don't even know.
Or who
used
she
to beat
played
myself
with, or
up.
all
Oh
these
my God, what did I
myths
do?
about whatever,
I blame myself. It's like, oh my God, what did I do? I felt so horrible, and how dumb.
Yeah.
Because but I've learned. I've learned a
Right.
lot.
So
And
when
it's
she went
so
to
much.
school, I'm just trying to imagine, because the courage, I can't even imagine that much courage, but to go to school
That breaks my heart.
as a different person,
She never had a chance in school.
I mean,
She never did. This kid was so intelligent, so creative. She had so much to offer the world. A month before they murdered her, we had sat down and set goals. We talked about her getting her GED. She was going to turn 18 that next February. I'd already called the beauty college and knew what the tuition was, and we sat down and I said, look, you're partying all the time, every day. You're going to be 18 and you're not going to live with me forever.
Right, the
we need
parent,
to come up
yeah.
with a plan. No, it was a very serious conversation. I'm playing around now, but it was a very serious conversation. And I said, let's put our heads together. This is what you want to do, and this is what I did. I've called, and this is how much it costs. I want you to start looking for a job tomorrow. Life's not a party. You're so young. You have your whole life ahead of you. Then you get the rolling of the eyes. Yeah,
Right.
Mom,
because she's a teenager.
But she listened. Because we're talking about her future.
Right.
And I said, okay, so I'm willing to match, half of that amount, but I want you to go out and get a job. We'll open an account, so she could start learning to be responsible and whatnot. I was trying to prepare her for her future.
Exactly.
And I knew she had a drug and alcohol problem. I had a really good job at the time, which had, insurance to cover that. I'm not a bad parent, I thought about rehab. I wasn't just going to let her go to Hollywood and become a famous, makeup artist and not be clean and sober.
Right.
What kind of a mother would I be?
Yeah.
That would have been handled first, her GED. So there was a plan. And as you probably have heard, she did go out and apply the next day
Right.
and whatnot. There was a
Yeah,
couple
tell me about the application. I know she had applied at a Starbucks and some
and a
other
little
place.
market that was right within
Right.
our neighborhood.
So what happened?
Well, she called me at work probably 3 or 4 days after she had applied, and this is my little princess who's very lazy, okay? And let me just share that with you. Everything has to be done for her,
Okay.
My little drama queen.
All right.
Mom, and I said, well, what have you done? Where have you applied and whatnot? And have you followed up on the places, right there in the neighborhood? Well, no. I said, well, you need to follow up. Either call them or go up in person and say, hey, I applied here and I just want to know what the status is. Are you still hiring? Or has the position been filled? Okay.
Uh-huh.
So she did. And She went in person,
Mm-hmm.
and they allegedly lost her applications. You and I both know.
Right.
Her application said Eddie Araujo Jr.
Uh-huh.
They didn't see an Eddie Araujo Jr.
Right.
But how unfair is that to discriminate?
Mm-hmm.
She's a 17-year-old, a kid
Yeah.
who wants to work. She's no different than a heterosexual kid, or it's just,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I guess I'm just a different kind of person or whatnot, because I could never in my heart do that to someone.
Right.
And discriminate. You know, in my eyes, we're all equal.
Yeah, and we are. I mean,
That's how my
ultimately
parents
we are.
raised me.
The world is full of hate and anger. Why?
That's true.
You know, I wish I had the answer as to why.
I wish I could take it away.
Yeah, I'd just make it go.
I would still have my daughter.
Mm-hmm. So she goes to high school, graduates.
No.
Okay,
She's
she dropped off.
ostracized, and to make a long story short, you know, from grammar school it started.
Uh-huh.
So even before her transition.
So she was picked on and just.
Wow, because everyone else saw what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
She was very feminine.
Mm-hmm.
She had characteristics.
Yeah.
That's good. You can word that out.
Yeah.
Of a little girl.
Mm-hmm.
You know, very feminine, very sensitive. All of her friends consisted of little girls, not boys. The boys didn't want to hang out with her, even at a young age.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, she was picked on, called names, you know, beat up, chased home. I mean, there's so many things. It goes on and on and on and on.
And I bet that, and how, I mean, the strength to get up every morning
Yeah.
knowing you're going to face that stuff.
But what did that create in the end? It created a very strong person who wasn't afraid to be herself.
When she described herself as Gwen, what would she say to you?
She never described herself as Gwen. I mean, you need to.
I mean,
what are you trying to?
when she said, "Okay, this is who I am."
Oh, when she came out,
Yeah.
she just said that she didn't feel like a boy or whatever. That she never identified with her penis. We use the word penis. We
Right.
didn't use any other word, and that she felt like a girl trapped in a boy's body, and she felt like a freak. And I mean, like I said, I already knew all of this stuff, but I wanted, you know, she's the one that needed to tell me, and that's exactly what was
Right.
happening. I wasn't really prepared.
And was there anybody at that point in the community that tried to come in and?
Well, I didn't know she was transgender, and I didn't
Yeah.
think about that. Like I said, I mean, I'm going to be honest, and I'm not going to portray to be the perfect mom. No, this wasn't an easy transition. Yes, I bought her purses and her clothes and her makeup and all of that. You know, I loved her, and because, like I said, whether she was Eddie or Gwen, it didn't matter to me.
Okay, we're going to take a short commercial break, and we'll be
Okay.
right back with the Gwen Araujo story. So stay tuned, viewers.
When I think of tolerance, I take it even a step further to the concept of acceptance. Whatever we are judging in someone else, we're ultimately judging in ourselves. Whatever we do to someone else, we're ultimately doing to ourselves. Picture a world of respect. Visit tolerance.org to learn more.
Hi, we're back here with Sylvia Guerrero, the mother of Gwen Araujo, and we've been talking a little bit about her childhood. Now let's talk about what happened, what we know of. You know, most people.
What I know of.
And what the media has said is that there was what happened?
Well, it's alleged that there was discussions prior to the night of October 3rd about her gender. She had had sex with two of the boys that are in custody now, anal sex, and there was a 2-week difference. I guess she used the same excuse. It's alleged that she said that she was in her period. So they started putting things together, and as her mom, I have to be honest, I don't buy that. I mean, I've been married 3 times, and how do you just not know?
Right.
I mean, I believe in my heart that the truth is you're bisexual, which is, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, but tell the truth. I hate to even think about this. It's so hard to talk about because, as you know, we're in the trial, and but I think about this every single day of my life. I mean, I play all these things out, and as her mom, I want to know what happened from the moment she got to this party and the moment of her last breath. You know, I feel that I deserve to know the truth. Obviously, I know the whole truth is not being said, you know, and everybody has a different story. It's like,
Right.
it's so frustrating because, like I said, I raised my kids to be honest, and I take a lot of pride in that. And what do? You sit in that courtroom and you get frustrated because it's like nothing can hurt me more than I already have been through.
Right.
She's not coming home. And take accountability and responsibility for what you did. It's premeditated. The things that have been said in the media or, you know, read in the paper or whatever, you know, they strangled her, they beat her, and then they drove her body 200 miles and buried her.
Tahoe.
I've been there. I've been there twice. And it's a little over 200 miles.
Do you feel a presence when you go there?
Absolutely, of course. But it's not a good presence. You know, they buried her there. There's just so much.
So she went to a party and some...
What the order in which the events happened or whatnot, I don't know. I'm sure we will all know later on sometime that, you know, like I told my kids, the truth always surfaces.
Yeah.
Someday.
Truth will set you free.
Yes, it will. And we'll know everything. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I don't really, it's so hard for me to talk about it. I wasn't there. But I can tell you that I saw the photographs of her body when they unearthed her. And we had an open casket.
Wow.
And that wasn't my baby anymore. She wasn't beautiful. They didn't find her body till 2 weeks later. When they buried her, they had put huge boulder rocks on her body. They buried her in a 3-foot grave. And they placed them on her body because just in case the animals tried to eat her or dig her out, it would have held her body in. You know, they didn't think anyone was ever going to find this out. The biggest boulder rock being placed on her face. It took 3 sheriffs or officers to remove that. A lot of people don't know this because you don't read about it or see it on the TV or whatnot. But it had crushed the right side of her face, her nose. And because of all the media craziness, I didn't even have an opportunity to provide the mortuary with a good picture of Gwen so that the mortuary could have reconstructed it to look like Gwen. Because if anyone who was there, it didn't look like her. I mean, they totally reconstructed her nose, her face. I saw the putty immediately on the right side. You could see like a slippage. She's dark, like olive skin colored, you know, and no mother should ever have to go through that. No. I want to remember her beautiful because she was very beautiful. And her eyelashes were all gone. I don't know what happened to her eyelashes. Her body was so badly beaten. And it just breaks my heart because I don't know how any human being can inflict, I mean, and to murder someone so viciously and horribly, no one had the right to take her life. And I find it unacceptable. I can't do anything about it. I'm trying to turn her tragedy, my loss, into something positive because I know that's what she would want too. And it's what I want. And I believe that it's healing to not just myself and my family, but to the world.
Yeah.
And to all of the other Gwens out there because there's a lot of them.
There are.
And hopefully, in speaking about her story and you know, sharing it with the world, maybe, you know, we will teach or reteach love and kindness and respect for humanity.
Right.
Period. This world lacks so much of that. I hope to God and pray to God that there won't be another brutal murder like my daughter's. It's so horrible. I can't. You see, I can't even talk about it. I just can't.
Well, I know that there were literally hundreds of vigils for Gwen. San Francisco, the biggest one, of course, in Newark.
My daughter has touched the world. The world. I literally mean that. It's nationwide. If you were to even know about all the amazing emails I get, even from London.
Well, I'm sure.
Others.
You know, there's a lot of people out there that are
She lives on.
She will
you know,
always
they
live
took her
on.
body, but her spirit they could never take.
They never will.
No, they never will. And I've even learned so much from my daughter. I didn't even know how intelligent she was and how much love she truly had. And I am very proud to be her mom. And I know that God chose her as a martyr. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
I was really interested when I'm reading again about this particular case, and I mean, not only there was this massive outpouring of love and support, but in Newark, they were also doing a production of the Laramie Project at the time, which is, you know, in a way ironic, but also in a way a healing play, because it's the story of Matthew
God's
Shepard,
plan, I
and
believe.
it had to have been.
Yeah, it was
and I would have loved to have been in that audience to see, you know, the reaction of the audience, and that they did it in Newark, I think, is really amazing. That they, you know, that they would take on that.
That it happened at the same time.
Yeah, there was.
There's too many coincidences. Let's just put it that way.
Well, it is.
I don't like the word coincidence anymore.
But it is.
It was meant to be. It was a plan. You know, I don't think any parent plans to lose their child, especially in a horrific manner.
No.
That's what hurts me the most is how
Right.
they killed her. You know, she didn't die a natural death or a quick one. But I can't change that. And I don't share the story for people to feel sorry for me. I want people to learn.
Right.
I don't want this to happen again to another mother, another family. You know, I can't fix the world. My oldest daughter always accuses me of wanting to fix the world. She says, "Mom, you can't fix the world." But she says, "I know you'll die trying," you know, and
But
Gwen
you
was
know,
just like me.
every step forward is a step forward, and you know.
I do it in memory and in honor of her.
Yeah.
Because she deserved that much.
And you've become a champion in the transgender community as someone who's really paving
I think
the
Gwen's
way
the one
to-
that's popular.
Okay.
I'm just the messenger. I'm a happy messenger
Well, give
for
yourself
her.
some credit, because you've really spearheaded a movement for tolerance and acceptance. And when you talk about acceptance, or when we talk about acceptance, it seems to me so basically fundamental
It is.
that we just, you know, people are different. We know
We
that.
are different, yeah.
But why do you think it's so difficult for people to
Because we all have
accept?
different upbringings, and you know, there's evil out there, and I can't control that. You know, there's good and evil, and I'm very thankful that I had good parents.
Right, and you talk about Gwen as a martyr. Well, explain that a little bit.
I believe that God chose her to teach the world that man cannot judge man, that only God can,
Right.
and that God does love everyone. And I said from the very beginning that I hope even the churches will open their doors to everyone, regardless of who they are. Their only job is to lead people to Christ, not to judge anyone, and you know, and make people feel like they're not worthy. You know, there's so many things that are so screwed up in society and in this world. You know,
Religion gets so.
but we need to start taking
twisted.
accountability and responsibility for
Right.
how we do things and why we do them the way that we do, and why do people end up on drugs and in shelters, transgendered persons, and committing suicide. I mean, it's just, we need to take responsibility.
And in fact,
and we
they
need to make
say
changes.
the latest statistics say that transgender individuals are the largest single unit of hate crimes. I mean, that's amazing. That
I hope and pray that will change.
yeah.
And
Well, I think,
I have
you know,
faith that
but
we're
awareness.
on the track,
That's what it's about, you know.
and education.
And education. And,
Right.
And
And I don't just solely go out there and I'm out there just for transgender rights and
Right.
equality. It's for everyone. It's for humanity. And that's when I go to the schools and I speak to
Right.
the kids. That's what I tell them. But I talk to them and I, you know, and I just pray about it, and whatever weighs on my heart, you know, all my speeches are different. I don't write any of my speeches. I speak from my heart. But the response I'm getting gives me a lot of hope.
what is their general reaction when you go to a school and you talk about this?
Well, I'm a speaker and I'm a parent, you know, I'm a grown-up, you know. First they're squirmy and they're chatty and whatnot. But then, you know, I show a documentary. I always start off with a documentary, and then we do Q's and A's, and I'll share, you know, about Gwen's life story and whatnot. But then towards the middle, you can hear a pen drop,
I can imagine.
and they're very respectful, and it's been awesome to see that we're connecting,
Right.
and we're opening their minds and their hearts to make changes, and the
And-
kids are responding that way. The kids the hardcore little cholos that would never accept it, write me notes saying, you know what, because of your
pass a
story.
note to the
No, I'm
son.
very serious. Well, my favorite one is the story that I'm telling you, the kid from Oakland that wrote, you know, because of sharing Gwen's story, I'm now going to accept gay, lesbians, transgender, everyone.
Right.
And that is awesome to me, even
Well,
if
of
I only
course it
connect with
is.
one kid. It has to start somewhere.
Well, like they say, you can change the world one step at a time, one person at a time, but change is always good, you know. And it's not
Yeah.
easy. It's hard. And, you know, in your situation, to be a mother and to have had a daughter die in such a brutal way, I mean,
It's
your
my
message,
love for her. I do this
your message
because I
is
love her
just
so
boom.
much. And, you know, it should have never happened.
So you're going through the trial. It's whether you had I know you can't talk about really anything about it, so we won't talk much about
Yeah.
it. There was a
People
trial.
read
There was a
about it.
mistrial. They said it was a crime of. They were a heated crime of passion
Crime
or
of
something,
passion, yeah.
something like that.
An outdated defense.
Yeah, and now it's another trial. And
Hopefully it'll be obsolete soon.
yeah, and when you go in the courtroom, when you look at the
You don't have the time, honey. If we, there's too much when I go in that courtroom, and every day it varies from day to day. It truly does, and but it's really difficult. You know, I'm human, and if you're ever there, I leave that courtroom a lot, and
Right.
it's really hard to sit through there. And
Okay.
I've forgiven the men that murdered her, and I'm not
Which
going to
is-
lie to you.
wow.
It took a long time, though. That was the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life.
Okay, well, we're just about out of time for the show, and I just want to ask you one final question and just make it short. What's Gwen's message to the world? What does Gwen want people to learn from this experience?
She used to always tease me because I'm a 60s baby and, you know, love and flower power and all that. And my baby, she was so much like mommy. But it is about love.
Right.
And we believe that love covers all.
Yeah. And
What
it
do we
does.
search for? All of us.
Right.
Love and acceptance.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for
You're
coming on
welcome.
the show. I know it's very difficult.
Thank you for
But
having me. But it's important.
Again, I want to say, and you know, congratulations for taking this on and spearheading this in a good way to teach tolerance. You know, we live in an intolerant world. I see it all the time, and I see people picking on people, and I said, you know, what's up with that? I mean,
Right.
seriously, what's up
And
with
that's
that?
the message that I try to,
Right.
you know, it's like, that's why I don't just you know, single it out just to about transgender
Right.
person. Just the bully,
Yeah.
being the bully.
Just live your life.
To respect
and-
each other
and
and
worry about
treat each other in love and kindness.
Right. All right. Well, thank you very much for
You're
coming on
welcome.
the show, and the best of luck, and keep going. Don't ever
Thank you.
stop going because your
Well, as
message
long
is
as I
too
can
important.
keep moving, yeah.
Yeah. And that's all the time we have for What's Up With That.
Thank
You
you.
so much, Sylvia. And to our viewing audience, as always, if you're walking down the street and you see something interesting and you wonder to yourself, hey, what's up with that? Well, tune into our show, What's Up With That, and maybe you'll find exactly what you're looking for. We'll see you next week on What's Up With That. Good night, everybody.